What's up, everyone? It's Friday, January 10th. We're here in the heart of Times Square.
The heart of Times Square.
I like saying that. At Broadway.com. I'm Paul Wontor.
And I'm Ryan Lee Gilbert.
And this is Caitlin Moynihan.
Hello.
Rocking the
AKA
Ferryman.
The
Always.
Ferryman.
Always.
It lives on. It lives
Ferryman,
in you.
yes.
Ferryman, find my meme.
And who's here? Oh, my God.
Guys, Sean Allan Krill from
Yes.
Jagged Little Pill.
Jagged Little Pill.
Oh, nice little rhyme
Jagged
there.
Little Krill.
Yes.
How did he?
How did we not take advantage of
How did
this
he not
yet?
do the vlog? Anyway.
Missed opportunity.
No offense, Captain Gallagher.
Yes, who was a wonderful vlogger.
Sean Allan
Yes.
Krill is here. We're excited
Yes.
to talk all about his amazing story, but first, today's top 5.
The search for Roxy has come to an end, and we know whose name is going to be on everybody's lips. It's exciting.
You had a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
there's a
razzle
whole
dazzle.
of what-
Razzle-dazzle.
You don't
Sure.
need me here. Dun dun dun. It is Emma Pittman, guys.
Congrats,
Emma Pittman
Emma.
is the new
Congrats.
Roxy. She will be going into the Broadway production of Chicago at some time in 2020. The exact dates for her time in the show have not been announced yet. Of course, she auditioned. What a room this was in front of Anne Ranking, Bebe Neuwirth, and Bianca Marroquin. Impressed all of those wonderful judges.
That's not intimidating.
No kidding, right? Can you imagine?
And there's video of it. We have a whole episode of this
yes.
that Caitlin produced.
Yes, our
There's a
big-
whole episode. You were there for all the auditions.
I was there for-
You got a sneak peek of everything.
I cried
Yeah.
at least every hour.
You've
I
been
was
very
there.
emotionally invested
Yes,
from the very
it's hard not to be.
Of
I hope you
course,
write a book. I hope
The
you write a
real
book, the
search for
behind the
Roxy.
scenes story.
so
ahead.
the episode does feature, of course, Emma finding out that she is the winner alongside finalists Kate Yolanda and Khalifa White, who did an incredible job as
Yeah,
well.
they're all
Super
fantastic.
talents, absolutely. You may have seen Emma Pittman on stage in Damn Yankees, Chicago, or Legally Blonde, but now you will be able to see her on the Broadway stage this year in Chicago. Congratulations, Emma. Well worth the
And we'll
fight.
see you back here soon.
Yes, absolutely.
The queen is coming, and now we know who will be with her.
You know, a story
The
about
Queen.
a nice girl. Well, we're talking about Diana.
Yes.
But a
She
story
did
about
make
a
it.
nice girl who enters the royal family and maybe it doesn't go great. Who would know that would be so timely?
Yes, who knew?
But it is. Suddenly,
is.
like, the
Season
Princess Diana
6.
musical is like ripped from the headlines.
I'm living for it. Yeah.
love
So it starts March 2nd and it opens
Not
March
soon.
31st at the Longacre Theater. And we already knew that Jenna DeWall is playing Princess Diana.
So exciting.
And now we found out some additional casting. Zach Atkins.
Oh, a Dimitri.
Yes,
A former
exactly.
Dimitri.
Tessa Alves, Ashley Andrews, Austin Danielle Bomer, Holly Ann Butler, and more are joining the company. This is going to be really interesting. So this is
I'm
sort of
excited for
the
this. Yeah.
follow-up musical from the Memphis guys, the Tony winning
Right,
team,
yes.
Jody Pietro,
Absolutely.
and rock and roll. Yeah, David Bryan. I almost forgot his name. Can't forget.
It's just-
Never
no,
forget his
never
hair,
again.
by the way.
Yes, what?
Never forget the hair.
no. The
David
hair
Bryan
is
has
iconic.
iconic hair.
he
Anyway,
does.
I'm really curious about this. It's gonna be at the Longacre soon.
And if you can't make it to New York to see this new play, you can still have your chance to hear it.
That is right. There are several ways that you can experience My Name is Lucy Barton. You could read the best-selling novel by Elizabeth Strout. You could come here and see Laura Linney play it on Broadway, or you could listen to a new audiobook of the show being recorded by the Tony nominee Laura Linney. She is, of course, headlining the current production. The audiobook of My Name is Lucy Barton. It is a solo show, so it is just Laura speaking beautifully into your ears. Will be released on February 4th, and the solo play will officially open at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater on January 15th, where it will run through March 1st. This is the hot commodity right now, recording all these plays for audiobook for people.
Remember that
Yeah,
show
so-
remember that show where we all sat in the audience with headphones on and the guy it was like a live.
Yes,
what was
what
that show?
was that
That's
show?
what they should do.
Yeah.
Laura Linney should just sit up there in front of a microphone and do like really
That was
dramatic
like
bursts.
noise in your ear at times.
That
though.
was-
Yeah,
that-
this
that was the
Laura
thing.
Linney speaking in my ear sounds much
But so
more
many
appealing.
options.
Yes,
This is a
yeah.
slightly cheaper option than a Broadway ticket.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly, yeah.
Intimate too.
yeah,
But you don't get to be in the
absolutely.
same room with her.
Yes,
Yeah.
but very exciting.
Yes. And the West End is going to be saying bippity boppity boo.
Okay, well, we're gonna mix up the stories because we changed the order.
Yeah,
That's
wait,
okay.
no, that's all
So
right.
Cinderella.
Oh.
Cinderella.
Yes.
Andrew Lloyd Webber is the 194th person to write a Cinderella thing this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Cinderellas.
There are many
There's a lot of
takes on Cinderellas,
musicals and all kinds of things out there. And so we found out officially, we've been talking about this for a while, but officially, I know the art's wrong. It's okay, Caitlin.
You
It's
probably
fine,
saw that
it's
the art was
fine.
wrong. It's all right. It's Friday.
Anyway, David Zippel, the talented David Zippel, who I adore, wrote the lyrics with Andrew Lloyd Webber. And what else do we know? Emmy nominee Emerald Fennell wrote the book. So this is a new musical, and we found out it is premiering later this year at the Gillian Lynne Theater, named after the fantastic late great choreographer Gillian Lynne, in September. So it's a modern twist.
Yeah,
I
she's
guess.
a modern heroine now, is what Andrew Lloyd Webber has said. We don't quite know what that means. You know, maybe she's got more agency, this Cinderella.
I don't even know what the music's going to sound like.
Right? No, exactly. Yeah, I have no
so
idea.
interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a little rock and roll.
Right. He's working with Andrew Lloyd Webber's working with his School of Rock collaborators, Lawrence Connor and choreographer Joanne Hunter.
Cool.
So A+ team, all involved.
You know a lot about this story. It's almost like you prepared to read it.
It's almost like I had notes.
So
What else?
sorry.
No, that's March 1st. You know, that's March 1st is when School of Rock
will
will conclude
closing.
its run.
That's the part
yes.
2 of this.
So, and then Cinderella is going in the
Okay,
Gillian
so
Lynne
same theater. Got it,
Yes.
in London.
Yeah.
It's a fun story. What
Fun
else?
story, yes. And we got complete casting for Mack and Mabel.
That's right. So Mack and Mabel is happening at Encores. Of course, we've known this for a little while, and now we know who will be joining. Newly announced cast members include Tony nominee Lily Cooper, who just finished up her run in Tootsie, of course. Tony nominee Michael Buress, Major Attaway, Ben Fankhauser, Jordan Gelber, Evan Kasprak, and Raymond J. Lee are all joining the production. They joined the previously announced Douglas Sills and Alexandra Sosha. I love Alexandra Sosha.
Can I give a fun fact?
Yeah.
Ryan over-prepares to do the news on here, so he
And
would
so
have pronounced all those names like that.
I would
if
have,
he,
and
if it
now,
was his
but
story.
this wasn't supposed
so
to be
the
my
fact that
story.
you did a really good
Yes.
job. It was like a really good job.
I like to keep you guys on your toes.
Right. Yes. Thank you. This is, and look, like I'm like flushed now. Mack and Mabel will be directed and choreographed by Josh Rhodes, and it will run February 19th through the 23rd at New York City Center.
I'm excited.
Me too. I
and
love
of course,
Mack
this is
and
by the
Mabel.
great, late great Jerry Herman. So this is
Yes.
going to be a nice tribute to him as well.
Very exciting.
There's nothing else on the site.
Except
it's all
the
about
search for
Roxy
Roxy.
Hart.
Yeah,
watch the video.
today's Emma Pittman. But yeah, now it is time for Allan Krill.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so
Ryan.
much, Paul. Thank
We won't
you.
stress you out
It's
so much
Sorry.
next
I'm
week.
just gonna go crawl.
Caitlin, tell everyone about today's guest.
Gladly, yes, guys. We have Sean Allan Krill here with us today, and he is currently belting out in Jagged Little Pill at the Broadhurst Theater. This is his 4th Broadway show. He knows what he's doing. His previous credits include turns in Mamma Mia, On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, and Honeymoon in Vegas. You can follow him on social media at Sean Allan Krill, and please leave all of your questions in the comments down below. Please welcome Sean and Paul.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yay.
Jagged Little
That
Krill.
was so nice.
That joke must have. You've been living with that joke for a
Oh
while.
my gosh,
Jagged
there's
Little
so many
Krill.
versions of it. There's Skrill, yeah. Celio calls me Papa Skrill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. But Jagged Little Krill, I think, unfortunately, I came up with first, which
Yeah.
is, I'm proud or
Sure.
a little bit ashamed to say that it was me. I had to do it on my own. But I mean, come on, you
Yeah.
can't
So
not
I guess
do
your
that,
fans
yeah.
would be the Jagged Little Krills, and there's all sorts of
Sure,
things.
the
that could-
Krills.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's life over at the Broadhurst Theater?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, I love the show. We all love the show so much, and it's just so nice that people are loving watching it. You
Yeah.
know, it's not always the case that you're passionate about something so much, and that translates, you know, to people enjoying it as well. So yeah, no, it's a joy. We made it through the holiday schedule, which is rough.
Right, that's always hard for
And,
performers because there's not much time off.
And now we're just in a new year and
New you.
looking forward.
Yes, yeah, of course. Talk about how did you first get involved? How long were you involved in this show? I know I saw you do it up in Cambridge. I know
Yeah.
you were involved before.
That was when I joined. It was
Oh,
the
it was?
Cambridge
Okay.
production. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been about 2 years now since
Okay.
I first auditioned
How'd you land it?
for it.
Tell me about that audition.
Well, best I can remember is that Diane, who is a very busy Diane Paulus, is a very busy woman. She had about an hour that she could see people for
How many
for the-
people had to go in an hour?
4 of us. I think
Oh,
there were
okay,
4.
okay.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be one of those 4. And next thing I knew, I was it was a couple days later that I found out I got it, and it was about a month and a half later I was in rehearsals. So it all happened
amazing.
pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, as an actor who's spent a good 20+ years, right, like doing this,
Yeah,
yeah. These
Maybe-
opportunities when
maybe
you find
30,
out, oh, hey, we want you to be the leading guy in this. And maybe you've heard of Jagged Little Pill. Maybe your name rhymes with it. It's an album. Alanis Morissette.
It's meant to be.
Diane Paulus makes really good shows.
Yeah.
This is a big moment when you land something like this.
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, you never know for sure
Right.
what is going to happen with
Sure.
something, but
Could have been a nightmare. You could have failed on the first performance. Get him out of here.
truth. But it was very exciting. I was very excited when I read the script because I think like Alanis did, like everyone did, there was trepidation involved in, like, I don't know, a musical, trying to wedge these amazing songs
Right.
into a musical.
Yeah.
It could go really wrong. And Diablo Cody just did such an incredible job. And so I was reading it going, oh my God, oh God, now I really want to be in this, which means I'm not going to get it,
Right. Don't get too attached.
But I did. And yeah, it's just been a joy.
I love this cast. This is an amazing
Me
company.
too.
Yeah, it's good. Good family
Oh
time.
my God,
over
yeah,
at the
it's a
Broadhurst.
love fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean.
Did you know any of them?
No.
Did you know Elizabeth Stanley?
No, I
Okay.
didn't. And I realized when I read it, I was like, wow, this woman, whoever plays this part, is pretty much 95% of my show personally.
Right,
As
sure.
Steve Healy, so much of his journey is about MJ, and I was just like, well, I hope we get along, and she's just such a dream. I adore her on and off stage, and I mean, she's, you just,
Yeah, I know her.
you know
Yeah,
her.
she's great.
Every moment on stage is just, it's delicious. She's amazing.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Elizabeth Stanley, delicious.
She's
Put that in the
delicious.
front of the
Yes.
house.
Yeah. Quote me on that.
This is not your first time. You actually explored dad vibes in your first Broadway show, right?
I did, yeah.
In Mamma Mia. I saw you in Mamma Mia. And let's talk about Mamma Mia. Now, explain your Mamma Mia journey, because did you do it actually like in Vegas for the tour first?
I did the tour first for 2 years. Yes.
Oh, 2 years,
I believe I may have been one of the youngest Sams ever cast at the time.
Right, because
way
I
back
mean,
in-
you're
it was
kind
like
of even
2000.
still too young for Sam sometimes. I mean, Sam could be all sorts
I know, right? No. I think I'm actually just the perfect
Now you're the
age
perfect
for
age
Sam.
for
yeah.
Sam. Bring back
but,
Mamma Mia.
But at the time, I was, I don't know, early, mid-30s,
Right.
And, but it was, I did 2 years on the road, and then came to Broadway and did it with Carol Lee.
Yes, Carmelo, yeah. I just saw your little tribute to her on Instagram.
Yeah. Because I found her under my
Her
under
name.
my
So what,
dressing
she
space.
carved-
Yeah,
she
we have
carved
we
her
share
name under the.
Well, it's sort of a.
Come on, Carolee.
I know.
Really? I mean, leave your mark.
It's sort of a tradition that you write your
that's
name
fun.
underneath
Okay.
your dressing space.
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I just happened to be, I don't even know what I was doing. I was getting my bag or something, and I was like, what? Oh my God. I had no idea. I was in the same room as Carol Lee. That's so cool. But yeah, so I did it a year here, and then when they did the sort of reboot in Vegas,
Okay.
I went out there and did it for as long as it ran.
Okay.
It was only about 5 months. But,
I was looking at this is your 4th Broadway show, but you got into an interesting, actors who have great talent. It's very interesting when you like talk to people who get very good at covering roles or get very good at sort of being that reliable person that can jump in and, like swings go through that a lot. Like, you're a swing in this show, we're gonna put you in this one too. You're gonna be able to cover everything. It's such great, you have this talent.
Right.
You got really good at covering 2 very different leading men on Broadway, because you actually covered Mr. Harry Connick Jr.
Yes.
in On a Clear Day.
True.
And then you covered for Tony Danza.
Tony Danza. Yeah.
In Honeymoon in Vegas. Who are you
Yeah.
more like? Harry Connick or Tony Danza? 2 very different guys.
I who am I more like? I mean, I guess I'd have to say Harry Connick Jr. But
Sure.
it was mostly a case of crooning is sort of something I love to do, like vocally,
sure.
you know, and so both of those shows sort of required that of those roles, and so that was really, I think, why I ended up in that position, you know, standing by for those two guys. It wasn't, I know with Gary Griffin, certainly with Honeymoon in Vegas, it was all about like not wanting to cast someone that was doing a Tony Danza impression, that it was about somebody who could just play the part.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't asked to be Tony Danza.
No. Can you imagine? No, that would be terrible.
That
I mean,
would be
it would be
horrible.
awful. Because there's no, I mean,
horrible.
he's singular. He's amazing. He was wonderful in that show, and it would just be a joke if somebody kind of went on trying to do, you know, do Tony.
But that is kind of the concern, right? Because you want to sort of get the spotlight yourself too. You don't want to just be that guy. I mean, actors all have very interesting.
The standby thing happened. Well, to make a long story short, the standby thing happened is because I had a great loss in my life.
Yes, I want to talk about.
And
I want to talk about Guy Atkins.
Yes, please. I would
your
love
partner.
to. So when I lost Guy, that meant moving back to Chicago to be closer to his family. He had been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
Right.
So we had moved here. That was when I was doing Mamma Mia. So we moved back to Chicago to be closer to his family when we realized that, you know, he wasn't going to get better.
Yeah.
So there was sort of a restart of my life after I lost him. And when I came back to New York, it was really just it had only been about a year and a half, but you know, it was just starting over again. So and I was very grateful to have the standby position. It was you know, that was Michael Mayer, and I love working with Michael, and it was a lovely way to sort of
get your foot back in it.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about Guy a little bit. I love following you on social media. You're very raw, and you've shared some very sort of very emotional. But for New Year's Eve, you just posted. It's like 10 years ago, right? That he was diagnosed, and then you lost him within 5 or 6 months.
It was May 12th.
Right, and he was a beloved Chicago actor.
He was indeed.
Tina Landau called him her muse.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you know Tina Landau, SpongeBob musical. Everybody loves Tina Landau. I mean, and it's so interesting because just today, a friend of mine on Facebook wrote something about losing his wife a few years ago and sort of talked very emotionally about that. What was it like going, and he was an actor, and what was it like going from that and actually then focusing back on your career? Can you sort of talk about that journey at all? Because I realize that it probably did have something to do with your resume, you know, and sort of your acting path.
Well, it thrusts everything into a very sharp perspective.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of loss. And
you were together for 13 years,
13
correct?
years, yes.
Right, very young.
Yes.
I do my research.
I know, wow. So there was there was a freedom in showbiz all of a sudden that I had never really experienced before. I mean, I don't mean to say that it didn't mean anything anymore. It was just that it was like, well, I'm going to go to this audition and I'm going to do what I do in the room.
Right.
And if they like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. I'm not going to worry about that too much because no one's dying.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like there was this,
Yeah.
It just sort of thrust everything into this very refreshing, in a way, perspective that was ultimately freeing, I guess. Now in retrospect, I can look back on it and go, oh, well, you know, I didn't get that. Let's go on to the next thing. And, you know.
Yeah. And is it safe to say that doing an emotional show like Jagged Little Pill, that this might all be sort of ammunition for you to get into something so
for
deep?
For sure. I mean, Guy is almost always a part of my shows now. And you know, at the end of the show, I get to sing the line, "Wait until the dust settles," and you learn. And it is one of those moments where I get to sort of honor him by saying, like, oh, it's because he said as much to me right before he died that it was, you know, you're gonna be okay. You just have to get through the dark times, and you know, and here it is 10 years later, and it's true. It's still there. Grief is still there, but it's there is truth in, you know, that, you know, you're going to live, you're going to learn, you're going to grieve, you're going to learn. there is light.
Finally, what do you want people to know about him? I never had the pleasure of meeting him, and he sounds like such a talented, loved actor. I read some of the obituaries and tributes to him.
What do I want people to know about Guy? I mean, he was such a light in this world. He really was. He was fun. He was funny. He was incredibly talented, and he was one of those people that just lit up any space he was in any way, as a human being, as an actor. And he had an incredible capacity to share that gift that he was given, truly.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Now you have Harry.
Now I have Harry.
You have Harry Booby,
Yes,
another actor.
Another actor, yeah.
Actor. You like to act? Being
Listen,
an actor?
I mean, it wasn't like it was a prerequisite or anything. It wasn't a requirement. But
did you meet doing Boing? Is that?
We did not.
Okay,
no,
you were already a couple.
Harry had, again, you're getting into the deep conversation. Harry had lost his partner, T. Scott Cunningham, who was also an actor.
Wow. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Very well-known actor.
Yeah.
And about 9 months before Guy passed away.
Wow.
And so I actually met Harry through Guy. They were friends, and they had bonded. Basically because of the loss that they were experiencing. A guy had just been diagnosed, and Harry had just lost Scott. So we like to call ourselves the sort of Phoenix relationship who rose from the ashes together.
Wow.
You know, not the Phoenix from Jagged Little Pill. Not the, as he says, the third-rate city, which I probably shouldn't say on Facebook Live, but I just did. So,
well, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Two great loves in your life. That's
It's. I mean,
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
By the way, thank you. The reason why I found so much about you is you have there's great photos of you out there. I saw you at Seymour and Little Shop.
Oh my God, high school.
Yes, thank you for putting all those photos out there in the world. Because
my God.
I spent so much time. I love that. I love the archive. I love a good.
That's amazing.
I love a good actor's archive.
Well,
out there.
I do love a picture.
I love that. Caitlin, what are the people online?
Oh my gosh, yes. All right. So Joanne says it's refreshing to see a caring dad on Broadway.
Oh.
And are there any dad characters that you would consider your favorites, like Broadway dads that you love? Characters.
Broadway dads.
Characters
that
or
I love.
actors?
Characters.
Oh, okay.
Characters.
Well, I mean, I am prone to like Sam Carmichael from Mamma Mia.
Yes.
I mean, I played him for almost 4 years.
Sam is dreaming.
Yeah. And another sort of dad that you find out is ultimately, even though you think he's kind of a bad guy, that he actually isn't as bad as.
Oh, Sam?
Yeah.
He's got layers.
Yeah.
He's got
Things
layers.
going
For sure.
Yes. Totally. All right. So a lot of people want to know if you could sing another song from the show that you don't get to.
Oh.
Which one would it be?
From the show.
Yes, from the show.
Wow. Oh, that's a really good question.
Maybe they'll rewrite it for you based on what you said. Probably not.
That's a really good question. I really like Ironic. I mean,
Don't you think?
Yeah. I really love that song. So I guess I'd have to choose Ironic. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so Shane wants to know, what was your first experience with this album? Did you listen to it like when you were younger, or is it for the first time? Like, what was your first experience with this
You're
album?
shaking your head no.
No. I mean, it was everything.
Oh, okay.
It was everything.
You seem like the
it was
target age.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
like,
sure.
we're the same age,
Alanis and I
right.
are about the same age.
Yeah.
I'm a couple years older, but I mean, it was my 20s. It took me through the worst breakup of my life, and then through also the first love of my life, really, meeting Guy. Yeah. I mean, I listened to it forward and backward. Mary Jane was my favorite song on the album. Wow. So that was another thing when I was reading the script. I was like, he sings Mary Jane? Now I'm really not going to get it.
Wow.
Amazing.
How did the cast bond? What was it like actually? And I know you sort of came in after the people were already in the cast. What is it like to? Is it always organic? Does every cast bond in some way or some deeper? And what was it like sort of bonding with this group of actors?
It is always different. This thankfully, I was sort of blissfully unaware of the life that it had had before ART at Cambridge. So I just kind of came in and, we're dealing with a lot of really, we're getting into it. We're getting into the muck in Jagged Little Pill. And so, you do bond very quickly when you're dealing with that kind of adversity or dealing with those really sticky subjects. And so it was pretty immediate with this cast. And like I said, my family, Elizabeth, Derek, Celia, it's just incredible. I couldn't be, I'm so lucky. Yeah.
What did your dad think of the show? I saw he came out.
My dad loved every minute of all of it. And he came to opening night. My dad, my Air Force living in outside Dayton dad came to opening night of Jagged Little Pill, and he was just like, he just loved every second of it.
Did he like your opening night?
There's Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. Did he like your opening night outfit?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah,
Look
he
it up.
approved.
Look it
Dad
up.
looked at Dad approved. He's like he kept, of course, saying, "Son, your shirt's open."
Yeah, that's intentional.
Yeah, I know.
What was your first stage triumph as a kid? Like, what was the first time you did something that everybody was like, "Wow, that was really good. You should do this."
My first triumph?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know what my first triumph.
When did
would
you
have been.
first feel really like yes, I got this?
I definitely had a moment when I was speaking, because you brought up Seymour. There was definitely a moment when
Yeah.
I was playing Seymour where I thought, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
This is really, there's that moment where Seymour has that soliloquy,
But then there's Audrey.
But then there's Audrey.
Sing it.
That
I
whaole
love
thing.
that.
Lovely Audrey. Yeah, that
I
moment.
love
remember
Tawdry.
just
I love
being like,
any lyric. Anytime they put
if life were
Tawdry,
tawdry and impoverished as before,
she might not.
like me, she might not want me. Without my plan, she might not love me anymore.
They said the Nick
That's
Shawn
great.
hair. Oh, so good. That's like
Yeah.
one of my favorite. I love that little.
Yeah,
chunk of
so there was
music.
like that moment where I went, oh God, I love doing this. And I think it was the first moment I ever felt like an actor and realized what that
Yeah.
could mean to me. And here I am 30 years later.
You're doing it.
Yeah, doing it.
Doing it on Broadway every
Yes.
night. Got one last question?
Yes, definitely. All right, so Marty wants to know, speaking of opening night, what is the thing you remember the most about that day?
Oh my gosh. I think there were so many things about opening. I mean, it was there were so many dreams that came true for me that night, originating a role on Broadway, all of it, just opening a show on Broadway. And I think when Alanis came up on stage with us, and because like I said, in my 20s, Alanis Morissette was, I'm still such a fanboy with her. I can barely.
Now
I
she
look at
knows
her
who
and
you
I'm
are.
like,
Well, she knows who you are, and she's like a fan of you now. That's crazy.
It's
So she came on stage.
So she came
you were
on stage
freaking out.
and she hugged me, and she always whispers something incredibly, beautiful and to each and every one of us and I don't know, there's just that moment where you go, wow, look where I am. And I don't mean that in a sort of boastful way, but just there are those times in our lives where I think it's healthy to look and go, look where I am. This is incredible. I need to acknowledge this.
It's hard to do that in life.
It is.
But
It
I'm
is.
sure when you go through what you've been through, you're probably getting better at that, at having those moments.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled for you.
Thank
I love
you.
that so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, go see Sean Allan Krill at the Broadhurst Theater. He's in Jagged Little Krill.
Jagged Little Krill.
/ Pill. It's fantastic, and he is really great. And I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Stop by anytime. Hey, Caitlin.
Okay.
Why don't you lead us out?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single weekday here on Facebook, and you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts by searching for #live@5 and hitting that subscribe button. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week when we continue to talk to some of your favorite Broadway performers.